Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial coverage of the LJL Academy. It's finals time, baby. CGA versus V3 Esports Academy. My name is Mildacott. Joining me on the analyst desk for this one is Recollect. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to see this one play out. And, you know, the teams that we kind of thought were going to get to the final, they've managed to do exactly that. So I'm excited to see, what they can bring out their bag of tricks, because the best of three dynamic is very different to the best of ones that we've had sort of throughout the tournament. The importance of cheese picks and adaptation based around those is so much greater, because you can't afford to just get that one win and then just smack someone out of the tournament. So I'm excited to see what does happen after the first game and those later games throughout the series.
Well, not just the best of three, best of five, of course.
Oh,
in
yes.
fact. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity for the teams to really flex their drafting muscles in ways that we haven't really seen from them yet before. Obviously, coming into this final, it's the two favorites that I think a lot of people had, at least after the first couple days of play. V3 Esports Academy, who I think were a lot of people's favorites coming in, and then CGA, Crest Gaming Act Academy, who have also looked very, very good over the course of the regular split.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both these teams kind of are here for a reason, and it's pretty clear if you've watched the gameplay, right? V3, the favorites, noticeably because of their superior macro over most of the other teams throughout the tournament. The way that they can move around the map and create neutral states, and turn those into winning ones just by being a little bit smarter with the way that they use their waves, with the way that they pull you around and gain advantage over CS, and understanding the concepts of weak side and strong side, I think, are a lot better than a lot of the other teams throughout the tournament. On top of that, they're mechanically just very good as well.
Yeah.
Let's not take anything away from them. Yes, they know how to move people around, but Unica has had a absolutely fantastic sort of series go down just a few hours ago on our side of things, and I believe Marble is still unkilled.
I think he might have died twice.
Yeah, he has a ridiculously high KD.
Yeah,
he has
a very, very normal
KDA. Yeah, very, very normal, very normal. And then obviously, Rashida and Yuji are both looking very strong in the solo lanes, and Hetel usually playing those engaged supports to perfection. So a roster that to me kind of screams scary. And it is, a team behind closed doors. I think there's been talks about how this roster could be, a potential actual roster in the proper LJL, and they would perform fairly solidly. So it's a team that you have to keep an eye on, because they are that good. And when we flip the script and we look at CGA in comparison, they do have a lot of interesting elements as well. I mean, the players that just come to my mind immediately, Kaito. Looks very, very strong in the mid lane. Very, very strong player. And that's the matchup, honestly, that I'm going to be watching out for the most in this one. I think Kaito versus Yu-Gi-Oh! Going to be a very interesting sort of showing between the two. Because I think their playstyles are a little bit contrasting. I think that Kaito likes to play a bit more aggressively than Yu-Gi-Oh! Not that Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't like to play aggressively. It just feels like Yu-Gi-Oh! Prefers to move around the map a little bit more, play for those, the realm warp plays we've talked about in terms of the bot side. Whereas Kaito, a bit more lane focused, I would say, but still does like to move.
Yeah, and I think that's a key point, is that CGA are actually possibly the only team that I think you can go mechanically match up to a lot of the V3 members, right? So you've got players like Chico and Primo in the bot lane who have looked very, very good. Definitely a number 2 bot lane in the league compared to Marble and Hetel. And whilst V3 do have this stronger side of things in a lot of these matchups, CGA definitely aren't the sort of team that are just going to get rolled over like we saw V3 do to DFM a few hours ago.
Yeah, I mean, for the side of CGA, it's going to be really interesting to see if they can develop early game leads against V3, because we haven't really seen V3 in that situation where they are behind in that early stages. It feels as though they're often given advantage, and from there they can just cleanly execute and push their leads. So I'm excited to see what CGA can bring to the table, especially when we look a bit more towards the top side as well, because Momo has played a lot of these carry-based top laners quite well. And I feel like a carry versus carry matchup in the top side is going to be a very interesting thing to watch for, because we saw Rashida play that Aurelia just yesterday, looked very strong at that one. Momo liking to play more along the Gnar sort of side line of things, but still, either way, it's going to be very interesting to see what does end up happening there. And we can't sleep on the junglers either. Every single player in this roster, both rosters, has the ability to just carry games. Unica, I think I mentioned before, had such a great game a little bit earlier on today on the Lee Sin, had ridiculous KP early on in the match and pretty much just carried the early game for V3. Whereas Funawi, has also had very, very strong early games and can transition at the late game very, very well. So it's going to be interesting to me to see who passes the initial skill check. Because, from there, we'll have to see if CGA can match up in the macro game. But, in terms of individual player skill, they've got every shot of beating V3 in this one.
Yeah, and I think standing up in the early game is definitely something that you have to do. V3's average gold lead at 15 minutes throughout the tournament, including regular split and the playoffs, is 2.6k, which is pretty ridiculous. But we do not have time to talk about that, as we're going to be heading into pick and ban very shortly. But before we do that, let's introduce you to our casters for this series. Counterfeit and Master Swan, take it away.
Thank you, Middlecott and Recollect. It's an honor to be here today to cover what could be the crowning of some truly dominant champions in V3, or perhaps to see the upset beyond upset and see Crest Gaming managing to pull things off. Marswan, you look a little skeptical of this outcome.
I just want to get into this pick and ban phase, Counterfeit. I just want to get straight into it. I'm too excited.
All right, so Crest Gaming will be starting things off on the blue side, and we can already see some very effective bans come in. Viego, the only pick so far in the entirety of playoffs, who's been 100% pick and ban.
It's not surprising at all. We've seen what multiple junglers can do on this champion. We have seen a little bit of lane Viego, but hey, I'm far more of a fan already of that Viego. Other things are coming off. That Varus, that Leona, high priority over here in the academy system. Irelia, obviously, we've seen dirty things on that from Yu-Gi-Oh in the past. Camille and Senna to round it out. Xin Zhao, Lee Sin, all these other priority junglers. So much more as well. Obviously, Hypercarry is still available. Galio's still open, which we've seen has been a huge priority for V3 Esports. But oh yeah, LeBlanc got through the pick and ban phase, and Yu-Gi-Oh's probably about to blow some people up.
Yeah, there's a good reason why we're getting excited about seeing the LeBlanc pick here. It is the pick that was just not allowed during the regular season at all. Got a ludicrous amount of bans, but if we're talking about powerful picks, now in the jungle for V3, we will be seeing the Xin Zhao joining the lineup.
And it's perfect, right? Because Xin Zhao is the kind of champion that doesn't need you to inherently set up for him. If you can get onto your mid laner as fast as the Xin Zhao can get onto them, you can just burst people down. It's a beautiful combo. And Syndra, Kaito in this mid lane is definitely going to have to go cleanse most likely, because if they do get knocked up or they do get a binding from a LeBlanc with that chain, it might be all over for them. It is interesting to see that they have decided to go for that Syndra. And again, we didn't really see many mid lane bans other than that Irelia from V3 Esports. It just kind of was like, we're going to have a very open pool of champions. Talking about open, it's that lane Jarvan most likely coming back for Crest Gaming Act for Momo.
Yeah, we have seen that work particularly well for V3. They're going to lock down at least half of that bottom lane, bringing out the Ezreal early on for themselves. Notable, we have seen the Varus already banned by Crest, so as we head into the second ban phase, I imagine we'll be seeing more AD carry bans as well.
Yeah, my most assumption is that we'll see Ashe probably banned. It's been one of the most played AD carries during playoffs, so that would be my top one. Ziggs definitely falls into that kind of wheelhouse. We could even see them banning something like a Braum to kind of take away from some of the power. Actually, Crest Gaming out doing that themselves, because we've been seeing so much of this Freljordian bot lane of Ashe. Braum, I guess Crest Gaming actually just concerned that potentially V3 could steal that from them, which is absolutely what they could do. They'll be getting first pick on their side. So yeah, take that away, get it done. But now for V3, what's the other ban? Do you want to take the Ashe? Do you want to go for maybe a Felios, a Jinx? We're going to Kalista.
Okay, so apparently some concerns about what Chico can pull off down there. Des mentioning Chico before, definitely one of the bright stars of Crest Gaming, so it makes a lot of sense that we get some bans thrown towards them. As we now head on to final ban for Crest, so it will be that Kennen from the top lane. Not something we've seen a ton of so far in the playoffs, I believe.
We've been seeing a little bit of Kennen, but not in playoffs. Absolutely, it was far more during the regular days where we were getting one match per team. We were seeing a few of these random top laners pick it up. Washi Day is definitely a known commodity on that. It was doing crazy flank engages on this. Kennen was really making it work. V3 deciding to continue with this dive idea, and I absolutely adore it. Going with that Rakan, allowing you to just press out, get right into the middle. We saw what V3 did against Detonation Focus Me very recently, only this morning, by our double Crest duo. I'm not even surprised that that's where they went for it. And CJ, what's your response now?
Yeah, you can see they've got a few different options they're going for here. You mentioned Chico has performed spectacularly for Crest going so far, and it
First time.
Kaylin, wow. I think that's going to be the first, certainly, yeah, first time in playoffs.
A first time full stop for Chico. Never played them once before. Primo going for this. That also means we're getting a first time support Jarvan because this Nara got picked up. Washi Day, what is going to be your counter pick, and what is going on with Crest Gaming Act's comp?
Well, we expected some kind of surprises here, certainly. You know, from when these two teams played in the regular season, it was all kinds of madness. As looks like we've got ourselves a big unstoppable force for V3.
The number one dive champion that everyone goes, oh, I will never play this champion because I'm too cool to play Malphite. I'm not gold anymore. I graduated. Nah, fam. I adore this composition from V3 Esports, and what I think is even more impressive, it's so simplistic for this comp to execute. You press R on a few of your champions and you just go in. It's honestly as simple as that. Marble just gets to chill on the back line. It just means they get to keep going over and over again. Coming over, though, to Crest Gaming Act's counterfeit, support Jarvan. Have you even heard of that outside of like random pickup games and like Fun Academy, like plat games or below?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess we sort of apply the general principles of sort of jungle Jarvan to the pick.
They're gonna have less gold than jungle Jarvan, so good luck.
Even less gold. But I mean, I guess you functionally still do the same things you make for a knockup. I guess before we get into this first game of our grand final, so I will ask I'll ask a silly question here. So can you explain for V3, you mentioned that you've identified a very strong dive composition for them here. How does that functionally work? As you mentioned the actual specifics of press R, everybody dives in. Is that the whole game plan for them? Or do they have anything more to what they're doing?
I mean, they obviously have a lot of pick. They, with Yu-Gi-Oh around, they can do a lot of flanks. Just LeBlanc at the moment, because a huge amount of the issues for LeBlanc that was plaguing her in the earlier metas, doesn't exist anymore. She has the flexibility to find good angles in which to come in. There's 3 champions on the enemy side of this Syndra, this Caitlyn, and this Jarvan. By the way, Jarvan is not going to be at all tanky. He's just going to be he's going to be a paperweight for this LeBlanc. There's a lot of options for Yu-Gi-Oh to find random picks. Momo as well, if it's Mininar, right? Like, if he hasn't got more than 2 items built, Yu-Gi-Oh should be able to one-shot him. I just think that's all the side of V3 want to do is just go, okay, Marble, Yu-Gi-Oh, if you can find it, great. If you can't, whatever. Side of CGA, there's a lot more moving parts for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is what we really want to kind of try and figure out if we can before this fully starts here. It's kind of, Crest came into this one with not necessarily the best, head-to-head record against his, against V3 from before. It was one of V3's longer games, though. You could say the same thing about DFM, and you saw how that went for them in the semifinals.
25 minutes, boys. Make one mistake and it's all over. V3 is so good at collapsing and capitalizing on one small mistake and just broadening it into something way larger.
I guess so. As far as what Crest Gaming Act to bring out here, if we don't have a clear kind of clear strategy in the same way that V3 does, what do the individual parts do here? And perhaps as the game goes on, we can sort of see those parts coming together to form a greater whole.
Okay, so we get Bon Jovi on the phone and we start asking. We're living on a prayer now, mate. I mean, there is definitely Syndra. They've got some high priority champions with very good DPS, right? So
Sure.
there isn't the concern of will CJ have the ability to fight. They've got Gnar, right? They've always got an opportunity, and if someone dives into you, Gnar is one of these pit champions where he kind of does a bit of everything, but nothing flawlessly.
All right, guys, let's have no more guessing. Let's get the real deal. The first game of the LJL Academy Finals is here. It's Crest Gaming Act versus V3. Certainly the predictions are in favor of a V3, 3-0. But Crest, all they can do is surprise us.
I mean, I am going to be so excited to see how this is going to go down. I've been frantically trying to find out information about Jarvan's support. It was played twice by Missing over in the LPL, who is Team WE. Obviously, they made that incredible run, didn't sadly get their ticket over Interworlds, but hey, they were one of the teams that almost pulled it off, and they made it really deep run. I think what we're going to be seeing is Primo's own interpretation, because some of the things that I am reading up here are not connecting. So I'm very intrigued, to say the least. The only thing I do think we're going to be seeing is probably cooldown boots with a Zhonya, and that's the only thing I can guarantee to you, Counterfeit.
Well, I mean, let's take a chance before the fighting really starts just to touch on some of our big topics coming in. Of course, for anyone who's watching the finals and has not been with us before, you may not be familiar with the Cult of Marble, the V3 bottom laner. This is a truly insane bottom laner who has only died a few times across the season and the playoffs itself. Perhaps that's why we're seeing Crest bring out something so surprising in the bottom lane.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. There can't be any other thing that the side of V3 don't want to play around. Granted, though, against Detonation Focus Me, Marble actually didn't have a beautiful game. It was good. It was very good. But they, for a period of time, were 0-1 and 0. They had a death and no kills and no assists. It was a very weird place to be sitting as a Marble fan, but hey, sometimes you get put behind in lane. They very quickly brought it back and ended with like 5 or 6 kills at the end, because of course they did, because it's Marble. Even with UGO popping off, even with Unica having like an MVP performance in that match, single-handedly carried a lot of the game on that one, did Unica. So that's the great thing about V3. Even when their star player doesn't do great, they've always got options like this.
Nice attempt from Hetel there. It ends up trading flashes with Chico, which is not a bad trade at all. Unica holding on to theirs. Funoi on the Lee Sin, as we mentioned, has been a hugely high priority pick here in the playoffs. Hopefully for them, they can get something done, because as you mentioned, Unica very much carrying V3 through their semifinals match.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the reason that I actually now understand why they went for the Caitlyn is because of the early game aggression. You go Demacia standard, so that's your flag, right? Which you really want to enable Caitlyn to have to just get additional attack speed, but you don't want to have to force her to take maybe a different rune. So what you get to do with this is you get the best of both worlds with the Dark Harvest and the flag, so you can almost always have that static boost that you would just try and get through your runes instead. But instead of doing the runes, you just have a Jarvan. You just have a Jarvan bot instead. Jarvan allows you to get that 20% attack speed, throw it down, the gauntlet goes, but guess what? TP's coming in and they're going to be looking for something here.
Yeah, Marble's getting chunked down, but Yujo is quick onto the play. Marble is almost dead, but manages to just creep away as Primo drops down. Yujo locking down the first blood. And it looks like there might be a second on the cards as well, as V3 play across the map. Chico being chased into the corner, and there's no way out. Where is the rest of Crest?
Oh, they
Perhaps
gave it.
they're all dead, as we do have one kill coming back in for Crest. Kaito makes their way in, and Unica in major trouble here. Has got a flash, but decides not to catch it in. That is 2 kills back for Crest.
Still a 2-for-1 scenario in the end, so slightly favors the side of V3 Esports, but hey, that definitely was not how the top side of Unica expected that to go, because hey, Unica has the dueling power. The problem is you have to land all the spells, and Malphite is not powerful until you at least get his Bramble Vest. You need that Bramble Vest really to actually start returning any damage. You don't have the base stats, as this is just the junglers dueling forever. Washide does actually rotate around, and important, does get the Malphite passive, so there's a lot of burst there, but it seems like yeah, Washide just kind of got caught in the middle on his own lonesome. Unica's able to at least trade it here, but because of the TP that comes around from Syndra, it's all said and done. Good attempt. I just feel like if the side of V3 Esports actually stick together a little bit more, that probably doesn't occur. So, see, minor improvements even through this phenomenal squad.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we can never forget that these are academy teams who, as impressive as V3 has been in particular, have still got a long way to go before they become the world-beating teams that hopefully they will be down the line. Hey, yeah, you got to dream big.
Absolutely.
So, in these first 5 minutes, we have ultimately ended up with Crest actually very, very slightly ahead. And I have to think some of that's got to be off of the CS leads that they've been building up in top and mid lane.
Yeah, that is definitely where they are. They are absolutely ballooning this lead. I mean, Malphite is not a champion you need to get a huge amount of gold onto to actually kind of enable and actually turn on and initiate. So I think that's going to be okay for the side of V3 Esports, knowing that, yeah, okay, so it sucks that they're a bit behind. But the players that aren't behind at the moment, that's Marble. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! These are the kind of the players that you want to have a lot of gold on. Obviously, Unica is going to be absolutely fine with his jungle. And yes, they are losing this first dragon because guess what? The Crest Gaming Act had priority. Marble had to go for a reset, so they didn't have any form of lane push. So they have to fend that one over. So we'll get a definite second one. Next Drake is going to be Cloud Drake, so not a great one for V3 to most likely pick up unless CGA do decide to do this. But there's a pincer move here.
Kaito will have to try and link up with the rest of the team. As nice stun there, landing on Surakan, able to dash away, so no kills going through. Does seem like V3 getting a little bit denied. They're trying to cheekily steal away a Rift Scuffler, don't end up getting it, or any kills either.
No, but as we come back and to a wider view of the overall game, top laners are just still doing what top laners do, but oh my, they want to fight.
Yeah, you can see Momo is feeling pretty confident right now, locks down with the ultimate, no stun, but at least is able to chunk down Washday, who has got no TP. In fact, both of these top laners having exhausted all of their summons at this point, a testament to how aggressive it's been up there.
But Unico is already starting to clear that top side jungle, so they'll be able to assist their own top laner, who's been having a difficult time at the moment. Washide is not having a brilliant time on this Malphite, has sadly died, but that wasn't in lane, so ultimately, I'm actually very happy with it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Getting a huge chunk of damage over there onto Kaito, and Kaito having to perform on a champion that we've not seen them really play too much of, because guess what? They've been playing infinite amounts of Zoe because people keep leaving it up, and I'm very happy that he's not playing Zoe, even though it was open. Can you tell? I'm just happy. It's not Zoe. Oh, thank you, Kaito.
Even between these two players, last time they played, Kaito didn't get a single kill in the game, so they really got shut out of proceedings. I have to wonder if Yu-Gi-Oh! Is looking to repeat that performance here on LeBlanc. Has got that one kill so far to the 0 of Kaito as the brawl breaks out around the Rift Herald. It will go across to Crest as a pretty aggressive move from Unica there, without too much backup from the rest of the team. Could have been punished.
Yeah, Funoe just actually going for it. Part of the reason for that is they don't know where Washide is, so they're like, well, we don't know where Hotel is, we don't know where Washide is. If we're not careful, if Rakan's gotten 6 and we don't know it, and Washide's there, this could be really awkward for us, and this could be a situation where, yeah, we have a numbers advantage, but their ultimates just connect and do stuff better than what we could ever hope for. Charm into Malphite ultimate is a beautiful combo. If you ever get to do it, you're gonna win the fight. Just that's my promise. That is the Mars Swan A grade certified Acme Warner Brothers Incorporated sort of thing, you know. But hey, we'll have to see how these crazy traps do end up folding, as the only one with traps on the map is Caitlyn.
Yeah, we did see a little bit before when they were fighting around the dragon how strong those traps are at locking down the limited access points. You know, particularly to the dragon there. We can see, you know, when you can only get in for a very narrow point, they're all trapped up with nowhere to go, then presumably V3 are going to have trouble getting future dragons.
Theoretically, right? the issue that is currently plaguing CGA's bot lane at the moment is, well, that early game aggression that we saw, the fact that V3 Esports were able to come out on top in the bot lane, the fact that this Caitlyn, who was winning their laning phase, suddenly got put behind, suddenly is like about a wave and a half, it's a full wave behind in CS experience, and more importantly, that kill and assist that's on Marble is the last thing that you want a Caitlyn to have to be dealing with. Ezreal is going to have a sucky time early game and eventually scales up to where 1Q on Caitlyn is like a really awkward thing, and she's actually pretty miffed about it because there's no way this kid with just a weird hand contraption should deal more than my sniper rifle. I mean, really, what would you put if you're the policeman of one of the most influential cities in all of Runeterra, and then some kid with a gauntlet just kind of spoots stuff out, like magical gauntlet? You'd be a little bit miffed. I would be. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
yeah,
that's just me.
I would be having Vi jungle on my team and calling in the other Rozzers.
I wouldn't have Vi
done.
in the jungle though, because like, I mean, not viable at the moment, not meta.
Oh well,
No, I agree with you. You should go for
to further to what you're saying, Marble is now ahead on CS in the bottom lane. You can see that if there was any idea about CGA managing to dominate the bottom 2v2, it's very much evaporated.
Would you say it's not viable?
You see, I saw that note from our producer. I was like, I thought that's what the joke was the first time around.
No, it wasn't. No. I just went committed like straight face to it. I didn't realize.
You're too funny. You didn't even realize you were making a hilarious joke. But what is not a joke is there's a Herald in the bottom lane for Crest Gaming Act, and it looks like they're going to try and recover this bottom 2v2. But at the same time, V3 are quick to collapse with their own forces. Hetel and Utica going in, deciding not to commit though. And there's those traps again from the Caitlyn, making it very hard to make the movements that V3 want to make.
It really does, and the fact is, Marble also wasn't able to link up with the bot lane of CGA at the moment. So Marble has to just kind of fend off, farm this up. I mean, that tower is just a sneeze away from going over, and Marble probably knows that really well, and that the fact that Chico probably will want to get one auto attack, so we'll try and punish them. At the moment, they're pretty far up. They haven't got the vision. Hairtail is there. They could go for a play, but it looks like they want to fight over this dragon.
Yeah, Finnoy maybe getting a little over-ambitious going for the Drake there.
Hatel is dead.
Yeah, Hatel gets caught out, almost deleted. The ultimate will not get to its intended target. Hatel crawls away from the fight. We could actually be seeing this second Drake being committed to here. Now the V3 have lost a lot of health. Primo can go across the wall if they want to. Kaito going to try and push Yu-Gi-Oh away from the fight. They're recalling right now. Both top laners have got a TP, but neither team commits in for the Drake.
Yeah, that was a bit awkward from a lot of places. I still don't know how Hatel didn't die for his sins there. That was aggression. I mean, the ruthless aggression era of WWE. That's what we just saw from Hatel there. He was duck diving all over the place, found the angle, almost got it, and if it connected onto Funanawi, they were dead. Dragon was over to V3, and potentially collapses were happening around. So it was critical that they got out. Hatel missed everything afterwards, sadly. He was going over the Dragon Pit blind, so it was very difficult for him to know exactly where Funawi is. And the fact that the CJ bot lane was there didn't get punished. Everybody got out. We're just resetting. Yu-Gi-Oh also had used a lot of health and been chunked out by Kaito. In this mid lane farm, let's actually talk about that a little bit, because Kaito quietly having a good CSing time against Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment. Neither of these mid laners killed one another. It's just been kind of semantics that's being played around the map. Mid lane's been rather quiet, just farming up casually. Syndra is one of the scariest champions. If you just leave her alone, you don't get a skill check from her for a while, and then you just randomly get bursted down. It's pretty gross. Yeah,
well, the fight in the mid lane seems to have been abandoned for the time being, as Crest, they've pushed that one up, but now they've moved back to the Drake, and even while there is a ward directly on this Cloud Drake, meaning the V3 know exactly what's happening, they're not going to contest this at all. Looks to be that they are maybe setting up for a second Herald.
Yeah, it does look to be a Herald. I remember CGA's Funawi was the one that secured that first one. It's how they got that bot turret. So V3 at least getting a mutual objective. This isn't really the one, as I've been saying countless times on the broadcast, this isn't the one that we need to be doing this fight for, lads. Don't do this. Kaito, though.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost getting nailed out there. Barely survives getting across the wall, which means this fight will be without LeBlanc. The Herald does go down very low. Unica able to get hold of the eye. So it will be a success for V3, but one that was nearly a little bit of a disaster.
I did actually think that potentially that was going to be it. And this is what I mentioned from Kaito, like, quietly hadn't done much. Hasn't even got his mythic yet, and almost one-chunked Yu-Gi-Oh! Minor difference, minor help from their own team. 100% would have killed Yu-Gi-Oh! There, but obviously we haven't seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing the exact same thing just back to Kaito. Absolutely the same kind of thing can happen on the other foot.
Well, yeah, while we're with what we're looking at the moment, we can see what you're talking about before with the sieging power of Crest, as they do have V3 trying to make a play on them, but it looks like Crest want nothing to do with it. There's Washiday going in for the first unstoppable force on the stream, but ultimately, Crest, they're able to pull back far enough that it doesn't work, and Momo's left free in the top lane to push down tower number 2.
Yeah, that was really well played by Crest Gaming Act, just identifying when to go, when not to go. Yu-Gi-Oh! Though getting a huge chunk of damage, and that's just a Soul Harvest going straight over. Oh my god, I tell you, gone away with not being murdered twice now, mate. You... Ooh.
All right.
Ooh.
So Swan, I think it's a good time to bring up. I don't think it got brought up on the desk, but hopefully they'll correct me if I'm wrong about this. But I'd like to reiterate my prediction here, based on what we've seen in the early going. I think Crest Gaming Act could actually give us a serious run here.
No, we haven't actually seen V3 play a team fight yet. I just no. No.
I mean, well. It's not. To be fair, I said this before it started.
He did.
I'm just reinforced by what we've seen. I mean, okay. So let's
delusional. It's okay.
I'm happily delusional.
I mean,
let's talk about what
life,
we've seen for so far. So we've seen one big fight where V3 tried to force their combo crowd control onto Crest, and it didn't work.
Poorly, yes, they tried to do that poorly. The fact that Washide wasn't with the team at the very beginning of that play, we saw Hatel like group 3 members up, right? That was where I want Washide to come in with the Malphite ultimate, and that's something actually I was talking about with Unica, where he went really aggressive onto Funawi, and then Funawi just dragon kicked him away, because it was like, that looks really weird. But when you realize that Hatel and Washide were off of vision, at any moment, if Hatel's there, immediately jumps onto Unica, charms all 3 of them, Washide ults them, it's all over. Like, that team fight's over. You can just see LeBlanc coming in, jump, bang, marble over the top, and huge burst damage could come through. That was their idea. The problem is V3 Esports basically just forced they tried to force the fight, and CGA just kind of said no thanks and just walked away. They didn't even have to use any abilities, but they've all got flash up except for Primo at the moment. Like, that was V3 bad execution, and CGA not being dummies. So,
well, talk to me about this. You know, this feels like this is already we're kind of getting close to, at least from the V3 side of things, kind of seeing, you know, the question of, do V3 manage to pull off their force engage, their force play? Actually, I'll come back to that in a second. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has caught Primo there. Nice use of the stasis to keep Primo alive for a second. Drops the Cataclysm to try and get a kill back. Watching it come in from the flank. This is what they were looking for. Ult comes through. Pinoi can't quite get away from all this crowd control. Goes back in instead. And ultimately, it's V3 coming out of that one clean with 2 kills, giving up very little in return.
So now V3 wants to start to actually play their composition correctly. Good. Very good. Unica. Good.
We have got the distraction coming in for the Rift Herald. And in fact, the distraction is going to be Kaito's life.
Ooh,
Unica is down very low, but the Herald's going to get charged in anyway. There's too many things for Crest to deal with right now as the Herald crashed into mid tower and they lose Momo. It's now just going to be Chico to try and defend. And we can see Unica just shrugs off that ace in the hole. V3, they've drawn even now and they're starting to pick up momentum.
So I don't like doing this to my co-casters, but you asked me the question earlier, so I'm going to come back to you. How do you feel about your prediction right now?
I feel fine, honestly, because what I wanted to bring out to you before that whole fight started was,
of course,
It's to break down, like, how do these things come together? Like, ahead of time, how would we know if actually, we'll come back to the second, because we do need to talk about how this fight went down, how this went well for V3.
I mean, this was all just started by Primo being in the wrong place at the wrong time, sadly getting caught out there. And the fact is, there was huge damage that just came out of V3 Esports. Like, there is that burst, the unstoppable force here, grabbing up Funawi, really putting this jungler in an awkward spot. And the fact is, he knows he kind of has to go make or break at this point, because he needs to try and trade with someone, because if he doesn't, everything that's just happened goes for naught. The fact is, this is the beautiful bait by Unica. They actually know he's here. He's sitting on a ward. Kaido's just mapped like tunnel vision so far. They don't actually know where they're going. They get paid. Momo almost redeems the play. The problem is the turret's not attacking Unica this whole time. I thought it was going to be. Momo does follow the flash though for Unica, but isn't able to do anything. And that was just so much baiting while V3 were actually on the vision of Crest Gaming Act. They just didn't even think about it. And now there's a gold lead for V3 Esports. Oh, buddy.
I would like to clarify with that whole gold lead part, as Minocott helpfully provided us with the stats. This is one of the closest games that V3 have played for a long time, though. I mean, as much as these fights, which last couple of fights we've seen, have been spectacular from V3, they are not as dominant as they've been in previous games. This doesn't look like it's going to be as much of a wash as many of those other matches have been.
But it's momentum. It's all about momentum. They played a game versus DFM, then they had to have a 5-hour break, and now they come back and they're just gonna get another kill. They're just slowly going to grind Crest Gaming Act down. They're gonna play the mental warfare game. This is a long attrition match. This is a best of 5. You don't go in sprinting like they've been doing all of their best of 1s counterfeit. This is a mental game. This is a best of 5, and I'm just making up crap at the moment. But I think, honestly, it's a legit thing as we see these gold graphs, and oh, that's not ideal for Crest Gaming Act. Caitlyn being about 500 gold isn't great. That's definitely a concern for you, because if Marble starts ballooning that lead a bit further more, if it starts 1k, 2k, that's item territory, and that's terrifying for Crest Gaming Act to have to want to think about in the future. Washide, I already mentioned, can basically survive on like an item and a half. Once we've got that Bramble Vest and the Mythic finished, who cares afterwards?
No, you're right. It does seem like it's one of the places where V3 would be least concerned about having the damage for us. Chico almost gets caught there, but is able to fall back. So one of the big questions I wanted to ask before about Crest, because we've seen this consistently now from this kind of point onwards. The V3 are doing exactly what you said, which is they're able to lock down an individual member and murder them with impunity. How do Crest stop this from happening again and again?
Good vision control, which is not something I actually think I would criticize Crest Gaming Act. I would now actually criticize them more on their utilization of their good vision, because they're honestly counterfeit. They've got great vision. They can.
Wait, what? Okay, kind of gave us the preview of this before, but now we get the official results. Yu-Gi-Oh gets blown up by the Syndra 1v1.
It does help that there was like a small a cube earlier from Funawi. It wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't on 100, which is an important part, because I don't think Kaito at this moment in time can 0 to 100 Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment. So they are going to need some assistance. A few auto attacks from Caitlyn, and oh Jesus, Marble, we're only like 23 minutes in. Chico can't be getting half help by your ultimate. That
Divine Thunder Enhanced Marble is just putting out absolute damage. You noted before, this was going to be a problem for Crest Gaming Act. That was one thing they're missing. It's that the support in Primo is not tanking. We can see from the way they built as well with the Zhonya's, they have not gone for even a remotely tanky Jarvan build at all. So they're getting chunked out anytime they get hit.
Yeah, and they haven't even gone for... So a lot of these Jarvans sometimes go for a Locket of Iron Solaris. They go for their Mythic as their first item before with the stopwatch. And then hope to just build to the Zhonya's a little bit later. It does allow you to have a fair bit more tanky stats, and obviously it's great for obviously protecting your whole team when team fights do brawl out. Marbles? Okay.
I think the fact that Kaito made us stop there when they managed to get the stun is at least a testament to that we've got some threat here from Crest. They're not, they're not completely on the back foot.
It was just on Marble, that's why. Oh!
Well, Hetel will get almost killed, but almost is not quite good enough. V3 sees as a chance to immediately go in. True Shot Barrage only tags one, though. So Crest are forced to fall back. Momo, though, will start the fight up. Ace in the hole! Locks down Unica. There's no jungler left. V3 now down to 4. Washington still has ult available. Health bars of Crest not looking amazing. This fight is not over yet. Yu-Gi-Oh! Getting pushed away from the fight. See, Hetel is down low already. Looks like Kaito's going to try and recall back out of this one, or maybe just faking us out here. Certainly drew in Yu-Gi-Oh! But we've got ourselves a fourth Drake here. I think Crest would love to be able to make a move towards a relatively early Mountain Soul.
Absolutely, they would, but the whole reason they're having to play so defensive is because Washide and Hetel both have their ultimates up, and they know that the Blanc ultimate is like a 20-second cooldown, so they have to keep worrying. And look at the Poe that just keeps coming out from Marble. This man rarely misses.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Punishing Primo's lack of tankiness, blows them up just before the fight would truly begin, and that means that V3 get possession of the second Mountain Drake, delaying significantly any thoughts of Mountain Souls.
Yeah, and what could Crest Gaming Act have done? Like, really, what could they have done differently? Because they can't walk in. You can't walk into what V3 has. This is the beauty of a simplistic comp like this, where it's like, walk into us, Rakan Goat presses R.
And we get to see it working beautifully there as well, even with the tools that Crest have got to try and stop this. They are still
Kaito.
being pursued. They're being run down. Kaito, it does get a beautiful setup there. Double stun, double kill. Kaito refuses to back down, but V3 are ferocious.
What was that?
The catch is made onto Marble here. They have got the flash available, but I don't think they're going to end up using it. That's a huge shutdown for Momo.
Baron.
Crest looked like they were almost starting to get done in the game, but now they're back in the driver's seat.
Maybe it won't be Baron. They'd be very aggressive. They do know Unica's still up, and they don't exactly know where they are. So it'd be a little aggressive as well. With Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still also around. It could be a little hopeful, but hey, Momo still's Golem. Hey. We take it. We take it. They found the picks, and hey, they're very much keeping themselves into this game. Like, I am so impressed with Kaito in this performance. Why were we forced to see your Zoe so much, sir? Just let me see this Syndra. This is great. I'm loving this.
Yeah, well, got early Void stuff in there as well. Let's take a look back over how this all played out. It looked amazing for V3 here.
Oh, it really did. Shirley's popped, but then immediately just kind of blunked it. So Hetel didn't get to actually put this in. Obviously, the side of E3 go, hey, well, we can just go for this. This just looks absolutely free. The problem is, Xin Zhao Ultimate, you need to be right inside with the Syndra. The fact is she was outside and the balls don't actually care, so the damage still came through. And Hetel was sadly just kind of cannon fodder for the side of Crest Gaming Act there. And now CJ took, well, for a very minor amount of time, they did take the gold lead, but it was very quickly back over in V3's favor.
I mean, I suppose, you know, it's we've got such a strange lens to see all of these games through. You know, again, you know, while this game is even compared to so many other V3 games, this is an incredible performance from the Crest Gaming to be at this point. You can see the V3 are hungry for a play themselves. Unica is just off the bottom of your screen right now, while Yu-Gi-Oh! Is off the top. It's going to be a pincer maneuver coming in if V3 commit in for this one. But CGA, they're all
Unica, Washide TP.
Momo is not here with that Gnar. Unica looking for the play onto Kaito. They will find it, and there's no more damage for Crest. They're getting run over. Chico cannot stand. Momo does make it in as the fight is already over, and V3 gets exactly what they want. 3 kills for nothing.
Momo also getting tagged and stunned there. Momo had to come in TP, but he was always going to be behind. Washide came from such a wide angle around just so they could get onto Chico and prevent any of that damage. Primo also knows that they are just they're a gorgeous Jarvan 4 with a beautiful Samson skin. And that's all they are at this moment in time, because Momo is the only form of frontline that V3, that Crest Gaming Act have. Primo just can't find the options, and this is something I've actually been worried about with this Jarvan support. This is something we highlighted. We were like, well, they're not going to be tanky. They're going to be struggling with a lot of this. We do come into this, and look at how early on this TP is channeled from Washide. The fight hasn't even started yet. The idea for V3 Esports is to do it. They get so much damage, and then Chico comes around. It could have been a double knockup, and Primo probably would have died at the same time if he had landed it. Minor inches there. Yu-Gi-Oh does try and go for it, but what a performance. V3 Esports really putting the pedal down and going, hey, let's get Baron. Dragon's going to be up. We're still going to have the Baron buff. By the way, Mountain Soul, pretty good against Syndra. Like, it's kind of rude that that's how well they're spiking in this one, V3.
It's also, yeah, it's notable and a testament to how strong Kaito has been in this game, which is starting to swing heavily in V3's favor. The Yu-Gi-Oh has gone for a Banshee's Veil as a third item rather than anything more aggressive.
I mean, it's also pretty good against Lee Sin Qs, stops those from connecting through, ace in the holes randomly if they're just going to throw it off, because actually for DPS reasons, it's better to just throw out your ultimate Caitlyn before a team fight starts, because you'll actually be able to put out all of the damage. You shouldn't leave it to the end. That's a silver move, or at least this is what some one trick told me in a YouTube video. So,
speaking as a silver, I can attest.
I take it with a grain of salt, but I also go, okay, well, they probably know more than me, but I don't know much about Caitlyn mechanics. So, hey, it's just how it is. Dragon is going to be popped up. V3 are currently prepping their waves to be crashing in. They're just going to sell Yu-Gi-Oh. Go, hey, mate, just you get the Baroned up minions. Washide and Unico, you guys go clear this all out, and then we'll just rotate back around. We'll get the Dragon and V3. Understand that CJ can't really fight for it at the moment, but CJ at the same time don't want to just kind of roll over and take it. That's why Momo didn't move from that bot lane. They were just clearing the farm out, rotated back around. Everybody knows 5 minutes from now is when we fight. 4 minutes from now, in 1 minute from now, they won't have to worry about that Baron buff. It should be okay for the side of Crest Gaming Act, but Chico's still just getting like a quarter of his health just from one Ezreal ult. That is rude, and Marble's not even 16 yet.
Well, to touch on what you're saying about with the Baron buff, it is notable that we're about to see that Baron subside, and the actual gold increase for V3 is barely more than the gold they got specifically from taking the Baron itself. They haven't managed to take a lot of ground, even if they did get that third Mountain Drake.
I think that's all you would really want if you are V3, though, in this exact spot. Obviously, if you could find the pick onto the members of Crest Gaming Act conveniently for you, obviously you just go for it. You don't really care about it, right? But without finding a pick, you have to kind of go, well, we are playing a pseudo poke comp. We are engaged. CJ aren't walking into us. We don't have brilliant sieging even with this Baron. We also want to prioritize making sure that we can find a pick or two, which they did. It's what set them up for that Baron. And then after finding it, they were like, well, we get the Dragon. They're not going to come in and fight us. We'll push a few waves. Yeah, like they didn't push as aggressively as they could, and definitely that is a criticism of them. But at the same time, it's not like CJ were giving them the room and V3 didn't have the vision. So you have to kind of play with what you've got and play with what's known. V3 don't want to make any mistakes because they definitely know that CJ will collapse on a mistake cleanly.
Well, this is a question I'm going to bring up to you before this happens again. We did see what last time there was this big fight. Crest Gaming Act, they tried to fall back from V3, and as we've seen, V3's ability to pursue Crest over a long distance is pretty freaking scary. So if Crest can't fall back when V3 are making a play on them, what can they do?
Fight, right? Like that's the lyric. I feel like that's a song lyric. But it absolutely, if they don't, it should be absolutely. If it's not a pentakill song, it absolutely should be. By the way, did you check that? Did you check that out? The live concert that happened yesterday?
Oh yeah, it was weird, but it was enjoyable. It was pretty fun.
I am of the same opinion, but coming back to your question about Crest Gaming Act, obviously flag and drag, so some of these members have ways of getting out. Momo can jump, Funoe, obviously, Lee Sin, infinite mobility champion, just does everything, and Primo has the ability to flag and drag. Chico can with the net, obviously, so it just comes down to Kaito, and of course it comes down to Kaito. So if V3 are able to get a pick onto Kaito, it's kind of over. Honestly speaking, it is that way. But
that's the maths, though, isn't it? If you've got a team which is currently revolving around, Kaito, it presumably doesn't matter if the rest of the team could theoretically get away from a play if you have to leave your most valuable asset behind.
Absolutely, right? And this is where the Caitlyn pick starts to become like eye-watering. It's like, okay, the whole idea of this Caitlyn pick is that you guys are going to win early game. Like, that is the whole idea of it, because Caitlyn is very strong in the 2v2, very good at abusing, has the longest range. But they didn't. They actually lost that. Ooh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rude. But do it again.
I mean, yeah, we see Yu-Gi-Oh! That Banshee's Veil is paying dividends right now, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is completely fearless around each of these towers, as there is a chase through. Not quite the kill as of yet. Trusha Barrage is a little off target as Unica tries to prop up the front line. Chico coming in from the side to catch Yu-Gi-Oh! Does take the ults to the face, knocked up, and I think is going to be deleted. They're gone. Marble is joining the fight, though. We know how strong they are. Watch Today getting locked in the corner by the not ultimate, but Marble is still up and fighting. Primo gets deleted. Marble is coming, almost gets killed. Marble with the almost no death, takes one more. Unica brawling with Momo and Crest Gamiac. They win the fight somehow, and they get themselves at least one step back towards being in this game.
Guys, all right, I'm gonna give V3 a big pep talk here. Kill Kaito. All right, pep talk done. Like this was just really painful to watch from the V3 like perspective, because if you actually look at how the jungle and how that matchup went, V3 Esports for some reason decided they had to do everything in the lane. They couldn't try and find a flank against CGA remotely, and I love this, right? That's most of the damage that Kaito gets taken from in this whole engage, and it was from the very beginning. So they forced the fight, they're pushing the wave, this is great. What's Hatel done? He's cleared the vision, so CJ don't have any vision. I don't mind trying to go for a pick here, but when it doesn't work out, hey, let's disengage, all right? They've just used a bunch of ultimates on us. It's fine. Unica just goes balls deep and gets Kaito's Zonya proc. Fantastic, right? We've got the ultimate out from Kaito as well. A lot of the members are here. We don't want to do anything. Guys, if Marble goes round the bottom, no, bottom. I mean, obviously his whole team has been fighting without the AD carry this whole time. So, I mean, you're putting yourself in your own thing. But Unica is able to play... No, not Unica. Kaito is able to play from just such a distance this whole time, which is what a Syndra wants to do. You guys funneled yourselves into what Syndra wants, and I'm not at all surprised that she dealt the second most amount of damage. Look at Marble's damage. He wasn't in that team fight. Like, what are you doing, guys?
Oh. All right,
what are you doing?
Primo showing us exactly what happens when you've got no tanky stats, almost no tanky stats whatsoever, as the second Baron will be started up for V3. The burgeoning CGA comeback might be cut short, though Momo, they don't need a Baron to make a push onto Inhibitor Tower. They actually are chunking this one down.
Yeah, and only Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to go back to answer that recall, and what's even more beautiful is why was it only Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, because he's got TP, he can join his team at any moment, and V3 Esports, they've committed to this top lane turret. I don't know why, but that's the one they want. I mean, they did already have the wave prep, so it does make sense. And they're just going to absolutely obliterate this, and that's going to be an Inhibitor.
Unfortunately for Crest, Chico off on the other side of the map for a good chunk of this. Means Inhibitor does go down, but at least it's the Baron side Inhibitor. Though I suppose by the time that the Baron comes up again, everything will be reset. We're of course in the shadow of the Mountain Soul, the next major objective. One more Drake picked up from either team will put them there and give that big shield to deny getting bursted from either side.
Yeah, I'm really stupid, actually. I just realized the moment that you were like, that Mountain Soul's coming up in probably like 3 minutes or so. I go, that's why they took the top side. Okay, now I understand. Because obviously you want to pull the team to the opposite side of the map. V3 identifying, going, yes. Momo going, well, even if I could have stayed and got this Inhibitor, do I want that Inhibitor?
There's a desperation to self-save from Chico, but they can't stop the follow-up damage. V3, they're pulling off their set play again, which has run down Crest Gamiac. Crest can at least escape with Chico out of bounds. There is no Mountain Drake yet, but this could be a second Inhibitor. Again, Chico is not here this time because they're dead, and V3 run the same play again, and with the same result, another downed inhibitor.
What a performance from V3. I think they're going to just try and push in the end. They've got the numbers advantage.
This is going to be tight, though, because these are still 2 towers left standing. Watch they lead the charge for V3 under the towers. Crest Gaming cannot stand. They tried the gimmicky team composition. It did not work whatsoever. It's going to be last one standing here, respawning, hop, skip, and a bounce into an early grave. V3, this is one of their longest games, nearly 40 minutes, but the result is the same as it always has been.
V3 win that cleanly, defining maybe the pace in which this series might be. Even if it is a 3-0 win for the side of V3 Esports, then they're not going to be able to do it. My camera is just having a hissy fit of its own. That's why I am in an awful thing. It fell down twice. I'm not joking, counterfeit, but it might have been through my surprisement that Crest Gaming pushed V3 so far, and that's the credit, right? Because they really did force everything, as we have got a replay, and I'd love to talk about how Chico getting called out by Yu-Gi-Oh really defined this, because obviously this was set up by Yu-Gi-Oh. Obviously Marble is the benefactor, and look at that, double charm came in. They immediately have to dragon kick Unica away, and this is so many ultimates from the side of CGA. They've only got a defensive ultimate, and that's if they can get Mega Gnar. Otherwise, they've only got the Caitlyn ultimate. What's that going to do? Oh yeah, he's dead, so you can't even do that. So then the side of V3 Esports just have the ultimate advantage, and it's not surprising at all that they're able to just brute force this at the end.
I mean, oh boy, that was a crazy game, and I mean, you know, V3 utterly relentless through that. I guess for me though, the big thing that kind of stands out, and tell me if I'm completely off base with this, that
I doubt.
Yeah, we saw Crest Gaming playing a really good game there, but the Jarvan support, it did not seem to be what was needed at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have done it, but that's just me. I don't know. This is the best of 5. You can try stuff out like that, right? So I at least like the idea, but hey.
All right, guys. Well, we've got the smart brains waiting in the wings to let us know if that was the right pick, or if indeed, no, the smarterest brains. That's right. There are such things. Our analyst desk will be returning after this short break to break down game number 1, and then, of course, game number 2 is upcoming. As Swan said, this will be our first and only best of 5 of the LJL Academy League. If you do not want to miss game 2, see you after the break.
there, everybody, and welcome back to the Analyst Desk. After that pretty exciting Game 1 between CGA Academy and V3 Academy. CGA pushed V3 perhaps harder than they have been pushed this entire season, but ultimately it was the Phoenix members that were able to come out on top to go 1-0 up in this series.
Yeah, V3 able to pick up that win, and it comes off the back of some really solid sort of team fighting play, specifically the ultimate usage. I think the ones that come to mind to me is Hatel's usage of the Rakan, I think was really solid. Washington able to find really good flanks with the Malphite ultimate as well to land that unstoppable horse into the backline onto the immobile member of Chico. And I just wanted to mention quickly, because I think it was mentioned on the desk, the support Jarvan, right? That's going to be the main talking point, at least from the draft perspective, isn't it? And I feel like there's a weird situation where CGA, they've tried to big brain themselves a little bit too much with the Jarvan flexibility, and they've forgotten a really fundamental aspect of the Jarvan pick, and that's the fact that Jarvan kind of sucks against champions with mobility.
Yeah,
he's really not that good. So the issue being, you're trying to play support Jarvan, which innately doesn't have much damage and doesn't have much itemization. So realistically, you're playing for utility, which is why you go Zhonya's. The idea being you EQ, then ult and trap people in there, and it's just, you're trapped in here with me, I Zhonya's, you can't hit me, and then you take all my team's damage. But who do you do that to this game?
It's quite difficult.
There's an Ezreal and a LeBlanc, so you're not doing it to either of them. And at that point, who are you getting value against? So it feels as though this Jarvan pick came in with the intention of having, all those options available to assassinate a key target. But there's no one you can target, so it just feels like as the game goes on, the longer the game goes, the more it begins to feel like a 4v5. And V3, they start to come online with their ultimates, and there's not a whole lot you can do defensively if you are on the CGA lineup.
I mean, that was really the case, because for the first 20 minutes of the game, CGA were right in it. Like they were pushing V3 as hard as they've been pushed by anyone. I think I was looking up the stats, and the only time that V3 have actually been further behind in the early game than they were in that game was against Axis in day 2, when they were down like 3k at like 50 minutes. Still ended up winning that game, and obviously still came out the victor this time around. But I think it's what we maybe expected from this matchup in a lot of ways. CGA able to go toe-to-toe with V3 in the laning phase, even find a couple of skirmishes, even find a couple of picks, build themselves that little bit of an advantage. But once you do get into that mid-game, it felt like the cohesion on V3 was a lot stronger than on the Crest side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we looked at sort of the team play aspects afterwards, that's kind of where V3 is going to come alive, realistically speaking, because when you look at what these teams ended up with in their draft, you see that in terms of early power and laning, both teams can lane into each other fairly well, but when we reach those team fighting stages, the mobile carries for the side of V3 can't really be touched easily by the members that CGA have drafted. I mean, if we look at what I'm going to call instant CC, so things that come out very, very fast and you can't do a whole lot to avoid, you've got maybe Syndra stun with Scatter the Weak, and you have Dragon's Rage Kick. But that's all you really have. And realistically speaking, when you have such high mobility in the LeBlanc and the Ezreal, it's very hard to touch them with those spells. So you're essentially playing fully for Kaito to land that stun setup if you want to have any chance of winning after about 15-20 minutes on the CGA side. But if you end up blowing that onto someone like Marble, then it means that Yujo can just go ballistic. Yujo can just jump in and out. And we saw a team fight break out, which at first glance, it looks like, oh, CGA, they managed to get a pick. It's a 4v5 at the Dragon.
Yeah.
But the issue is they've blown so many tools already, and this is where the concept of that instant CC being necessary onto mobile carries comes into play, because now you have a case where nothing is left up to kill Marble, nothing was left up to kill Yu-Gi-Oh! And CC them so you can actually get your kills. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Can jump in and out with distortions and land those sigils of malice. The poke is coming through as well from Marble with the Mystic Shots and the Arcane Shift, and it becomes a state where, yes, you have a numbers advantage, but you can't find access to the backline, which means that you are actually just slowly but surely getting whittled down. And 5 low health bars versus 4 high health bars, with the 5 having no cooldowns, I would rather be playing the 4 side that entire time.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that whilst it was a strong victory for V3, CGA definitely showed up to play. We're going to be popping to a short break now, but after that, we're going to be coming up with Game 2 in this series to see if V3 will take it to match point or whether Crest Gaming Act Academy will be able to bounce back. We will see you in a few minutes.